So this is probably the last thing we can do with this list before we get to some of the more the other advanced ideas. But I want to kind of leave this topic with the idea of what, first of all, well, I guess the big deal is, what if people want to add to this list, right? What if you're not happy with the initial set, you want to add to it? I'm not going to bother removing it at this point. We'll just talk about what to add to it. The removing part, believe it or not, it's a slightly tougher idea. It's a slightly tougher idea, and we got to wait for some error processing before we talk about that. But we can certainly talk about adding something to the list. So here's what I'm going to do. And also, we could probably tackle list 5 as well and make it a little bit more dynamic. For example, if we really are going to generate unique numbers, what we kind of need to do is we kind of need to, you can only run through this thing the lowest numbers in the list, right? So for example, if this is going to go through and pick a noun, then remove it as it is doing with the pop, then it's only going to be able to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. We can't have it go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, because as you saw in the last demonstration, the 6th time it would have an error. It'd be trying to pull from an empty list, and again, that's more error processing. But at this point, we can't handle it. So we could actually make this thing, if we want it to generate unique names from what we have available, we know for sure it'll run 5 times, which is the smallest of the lengths. So just to kind of make this clear, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just I'll create a quick variable here, which I'm just going to call. I guess what I want to do, I'll put it up in the initialization section. It's going to be an integer. It's going to be how many names I suppose possible would be good, but it's not just going to be the length of the list of the adjectives, right? It's not just going to be the length of the list of the adjectives. In fact, well, actually, you know what? I guess I could demo it right in the shell here. So in the shell, I'm going to be using another function actually. So we have, what is the minimum number of 1 and 2, and it returns the minimum number. What's the minimum number of 5 and 100? It returns the minimum number. So that's the kind of technology I'm just about to use here. We're going to basically say that it's going to be the minimum of the 2 lengths. And if you're not sure at this point what's going on, then for goodness sakes, go ahead and try some of this stuff out. So let's just run this just to get going. Remember, don't make too many changes before you run your stuff. So there's my list. There's my list. How many times would this run? It's going to run 5 times because that's the smallest list. So now if I wanted to, I could take that how many times and I could put it into my range, and now this thing would run just fine. So in fact, let's just go right to the end and see what it did. Yeah, no problem. It ran no problem, and we got ourselves our variables. Awesome. But now what I want to do is I want to add. I want to add to this list. Now, if I'm going to add to this list or add to either of these, probably calculating this at this moment in time is probably not that smart. So let's move this guy out and put him into just before I'm about to call how many times, right? So again, input, well, I guess all that's input, processing, and then output. All right, I know in theory there is output happening inside of the processing section, but we'll call it a day on that. That's not as important for this example. So what I want to do is I want to go in there and ask this guy, would you like to add an adjective? So what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to go and use our input. String adjective is assigned input. What adjective would you like to add? If add a space. And then what that's going to do is it's going to go, so what adjective would you like to add? So I'm going to go, I don't know, is scary in there? Okay, scary. So I'm going to add scary. I'm going to hit the submit button. And now I've got myself a variable called scary. Now we already know how do you add that to a list. Well, we don't really add it to a list, but we append it to a list. So what we can do is say, get out of there, and what would you like to add? So we can go list adjectives, append, and then append that string. Remember, by the way, the input is a function. It takes in a prompt and it returns a string. So I don't have to do any casting or anything like that. This will be a string. I'm going to append it to that string. We're going to go visualize. We go next. Oh, last. Excuse me. I should have gone last. Let's go first. Next, next, next. And now it's like, what do you want to add? I'm going to say scary. And what we're going to see is scary is going to pop up right there. I'm going to go submit. Bang. Oh, not yet. Sorry. Scary is still a variable, but now we're going to append it. I go next, and there he is. He's appearing right there. So that's how we're adding to the list. This should be rocket science because you probably might remember this from a few videos ago. But cool. So now we got this thing that's being appended. So now, what if the person wants to add more? What if they want to add more than just one thing? Well, let's do this. First of all, up in my sort of, after I've created the list, what I'm going to do is actually, just before I ask what adjectives, I'll basically get this guy to basically say something to the effect of the adjectives loaded into memory are, okay, and comma, and then give me that list. Copy and paste. We go, and this thing will just print it out to the screen. Should be pretty straightforward. Boom, boom. There's my two lists, and now I'm going to go print. The action will happen up there. Boom, and let's make that a bit bigger. So you notice what I was able to do there with the print. I put in a string and a list, and it basically prints out the whole thing. So that's those are my my adjectives, and now it's just about to do the. In fact, it is doing the input, right? So and then it's going to append it. Cool. Now what I want to do is I want it to basically go into a loop, ask me what adjective would you like to add, and then some way to stop that loop before it, before I go into an infinite loop. So we are going to use the method I've been showing you before, the old Boolean continue method, right? The old Boolean continue method, which is going to be initialized to true. We want this guy to be true because I'm going to go into this loop. I'm going to go while this guy, and remember, I don't have to go is equal to true because it's going to basically say while that's equal to true. That's shorthand for while that's equal to true. I'm going to bring this guy into the loop. I'm going to bring the append into the loop. Now that is an infinite loop, which is a bad thing. We want to make sure there's always a way out. So how would I communicate that? Well, maybe what I could do is communicate the idea that if this person puts in stop to stop, maybe what that'll do is now put me into a position where I'm going to say if the adjective is assigned, or sorry, is equal to stop, okay? If it's equal to stop, then Boolean continue is now assigned false. Okay? Otherwise, I know we're this close to talking about control structures like ifs and whiles, but you know, let's keep going. Otherwise, do this. So what's going to happen now is it's going to go into the loop because it is true. It's going to say, do that input that we just saw. If the person puts stop, it's going to set it to false. If the person put anything else but stop, it's going to append it onto the list. Our processing hits line 15. We're at the end of the loop. And if we did go down the B branch here, if we basically did go down the, if it wasn't stop, then continue will be true. So it's going to come back up and then continue on the loop. So let's go ahead and do that. So we go next. So there we get my two guys. And then a new variable Boolean, true, right? It's going to print something up here. So we go print. And then while Boolean is true, is Boolean true? Yes, it is. So then it goes in and it does my little input. I'm going to put scary. And I'm going to go submit. And is that scary equal to stop? It's not. So we go into the else, and now it's just about to append scary at the end of the adjectives. There it goes. And now we go back up because Boolean is still true. We go next. Adjective I'd like to do. I'm going to put in timid. That's how we're feeling right now. I'm going to put in timid. I'm going to go submit. So now we got a variable called timid. Is timid equal to stop? It's not. So it's going to go and append timid to the end of the list, and it does. We go back up to here. Okay, is this still true? Yes, it is. It's going to go in. Now I'm going to say, whoa, man, I'm done. Stop. So I'm going to go stop. Hit the submit button. Bang. The variable, is it equal to stop? It is. So then it goes, this guy is about to get set to false, and it does. We're now out of that if statement. We go back up to here. Is this equal to true? No, it's not. And boom, and then off it goes. It's about to go do the processing, and it already now has my adjective lists defined. And I tell you what, just for giggles, this shouldn't matter. Well, I'll tell you, I'll go one more time here. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but how many times? Well, it's going to pick the minimum numbers of elements in each list. So the list of the adjectives is, there's 8 of those, right? So 7 plus 1, we start at 0. The length of the nouns is 4 plus 1, which is 5. So it really should pick how many times it should be 5. So we go next, and there is 5. And so now if we go flying to the end, we get, and let's just make that bigger. So there's kind of the run, scary, timid, stop, about to generate. And did it pick any of those? Oh, it did pick timid. So there's timid, and that's about it. That's the only one to pick. But that's okay. And notice what's left in here, right? Because it only went through 5 times, and there was eight of those guys in there. It went and just that's what's left. Those are the unused adjectives. So if I wanted to now, I could go one step further here. I'm just gonna first of all make these guys the same length, just for giggles. That's got nothing to do with anything, but it's bothering me. So there's 5 and 5. I'm going to say do the same thing for nouns. Fairly standard copy paste thing that we're about to do here. So let's just go here, copy paste. This is both very easy and very hard because you want to make sure that you are very present when you do this. So my nouns loaded into memory are the list of nouns. The continue is going to be false, right? It's going to come out of here. It's going to be false. So what I need to do is before I do anything, make sure that this guy is back to being true again. Continue is assigned true. Okay. So now we're going to go in here. What noun would I like to add? And let's make it a string noun. Let's do some more copy paste. If the person put in false or stop, then it's going to go false. Otherwise, we're going to go into that list nouns and append the actual noun. And then generate the names. All right. So I think I got it. So let's visualize this and go next. So there's the imports happening. I got my 2 lists. We got the continue. It's true. It's going to do a print statement. This guy's true. So let's go through this and add a couple. So smelly will be one adjective, and so it's going to add smelly to the end of the list. And then we go next. Smelly. Oh, I don't know, man. How about tired? Tired. We'll do that. We'll go next. So now tired is going to get added. All right. And now we're going to say, okay, I'm done. Stop. I'm going to go stop. Stop. All right. So it's going to go stop. And we're going to go here. And we're going to go to nouns, loaded in memory R. And so let's go to this. And we're going to go to some quick nouns. So nouns, we're going to add that to cat. That's a noun. Next. So now cat gets added. Don't leave you dogs out, you dog people. Actually, I'll leave it as cats because now nouns will be the shortest. So let's make you stop and go next. Submit, I should say. Boom, boom. And so now it's going to fall out of that, and now it's about to print. Let's just go to the end and see what we get. So now we get tired that, blue cat. So there you go. That's working. That's working like a charm. So that is actually a pretty good program for you to look at and study. Yeah, I think, is that it? Yeah, that the whole thing is fitting onto that one screen. I think what you're missing here is that there's a, I wish you could expand this, but well, I guess what I could do is go copy and go into my idle, and where am I going to pick? Where am I going to pick? I'll go over here and just go new, and that. All right, so right there, yes, that would be a good thing for you to study and look at. All right, and then pretty well from here, the next thing I got to do is really just kind of bring you guys into the idea of the dictionary, and then we are going to return to this program and make it a lot more. We're going to be able to deal with errors, like for example, what if the person put in the same thing twice for an adjective, or if the adjective is already there? We probably don't want that, right? So we also, rather than have adjectives hard-coded in the program, we want to be able to read them in from a file. So we want to do those kind of things, and we're just not quite ready for that yet. Plus, we should probably really talk about loops and control structures, but this is really getting close to the end of the fundamentals of this course. So I'm pretty excited. Here we go.